Hey guys, what's going on? Will here, and today we are going to be talking about risk versus reward in your shot selection. You guys ready? Because I am. Let's get into it. All right, so risk versus reward. It sounds pretty self explanatory, but I'm just going to give a quick little rundown on it. So, every shot you make in disc golf has a risk versus reward side to it. So, off the tee pad, if you take a little more of an aggressive line or the local route, it has a high risk but potentially high reward. Either you're cutting a corner or you have a very low percentage to make the shot you're looking for, etc. The same can be said for low risk. If you go straight down the fairway or have a very open shot, it's a low risk but potentially low reward. You don't get highly rewarded for taking the safe shot. So I found the perfect example of a risk versus reward shot. I'm going to throw up a map on the screen. This is hole 9 at Seymour Lake Park in Oxford, Michigan, and this hole has the perfect example of risk versus reward. So the tee pad is right here, and the basket is right here. It is a dogleg right, but this hole has a low ceiling. It's fairly long, but has a couple different ways to attack it. So first, we're going to go over the low risk, low reward shot. So this is for a right-handed player, a backhand down the gut with either a fairway driver or a mid-range. Very safe as long as you hit your line, throw it straight, pretty confident shot. You'll probably land up in this field right about here, kind of fading away from the basket. Maybe if you turn something over a little bit, you can end up right around here. Low risk, low reward. You don't have a real great putt at it, but you can safely hit the line and get down the fairway. Now, going towards the medium risk, medium reward is the forehand line. So if you have a confident or a dominant forehand, this is a little lower of a risk. Not too many players have that great of a forehand, surprisingly. So it's easy to throw it too high, have it stable out, not turn it over too much. Because there's rough left, right, high, right in the middle of the fairway. It's a very dangerous shot if you're not comfortable with your forehand. If you get one out there, you can probably poke through this tree line here, have a putt at it. But like I said, if you hyzer out early, throw it high, you'll end up in the rough in the middle or the rough on the sides. I still call this medium risk because you still have a scramble towards the basket or at least out into the fairway. Not too bad though. Now the high risk is if you look up here, I'll throw this picture up. If you look up here in the corner, there is a gap in the top left area of the tee pad. Now, I personally throw this shot, and it's high risk, high reward for a couple reasons. A, you have to throw the disc a very specific way, and B, you have to throw it with enough power. So I throw this shot with a titanium crank on an anhyzer, and you really want to make sure you get enough forward motion on it. So you hit the gap, it'll hit the corner on an anhyzer and slowly start panning out towards the tree line. If you poke through, you can have a putt at the basket. Even I've thrown past the basket before on this line. But the high risk involved is if you don't hit the line, you're dropping into a ton of trees right off the tee pad. If your disc hyzers out too early, you are going away from the pin. If you don't throw the right disc, don't throw it hard enough, you can go essentially anywhere. So, but the high reward comes in where 9 times out of 10, if you hit your line, you're putting, which is great. So, measuring out that high risk, high reward, or low risk, low reward is very beneficial to a competitive game. You want to figure out what shot you can hit, what shot you want to hit, and what shot you can get away with, essentially. So just something to think about. I thought this was an interesting topic of conversation. What is your thought on risk versus reward? Do you typically take riskier shots, and how much does it pay off? I'd love to hear your feedback. So until next time, guys, I will catch you later. You good? Yep. Risk versus reward. It sounds pretty, excuse me, risk versus reward. Little words are hard, dude.